Hi, I'm John Storms, and I'm rigging up a switch to run with the Falcon player. So here I have a Raspberry Pi2B, and first thing I need to do is I need to look at these GPIO pins. There are 40 pins on the Pi 2, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to control a circuit, and this circuit will be used as a trigger. So first thing is I want to hook something up to pin number 1, which is 3.3 volts positive. Okay, and I went and just looked up the pinouts on the internet. Okay, so I'm using the red wire for voltage for positive. Then down here, pin 39 is ground. So I'm going to hook a black wire up to ground. And then I want to use gpio 17, which is pin 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If I did this right, there should be 4 pins in between. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are. Okay, so this is wired up here. Now I need to wire up the switch. And the schematic for the switch is really easy to find. It's actually on the Falcon Pi player. Okay, so I start off. Alright, so now I'm going to wire up the switch. Wiring up the switch is, I'm just going to use a standard breadboard, like you'd get at Radio Shack. And this has power rails on the side, so all of these this whole line of dots are connected, this whole line of holes are connected, one for positive, one for negative, and there's one on the other side, and these are power rails. Then in the middle, they're connected horizontally, except they're broken in the trench. So these 5 holes are connected, and these 5 holes are connected. Okay, so they form a bus. Okay, so I'm going to start off by placing my switch. Just straddle the trench. Okay, now he's in. So on this end, so it switches from top to bottom. So I'm going to connect this side from here. I'm just going to put a jumper over to ground on this side. And I could use any hole, so I'm going to use ground on this side and positive on the other. Okay, now I take a 10,000 ohm resistor and I'm going to jumper it. I'm going to go from positive, which is right here, over to the same line that the switch is on, but I'm using that top row for the switch. See, I'm going to put it now right there. Okay, just like that. So I have this 10,000 ohm resistor. Okay, then, and the goal here is to pull down gpio 17. So now I'm adding a 1,000 ohm resistor, and I'm putting this right here. So everything on this row that I'm sticking in is interconnected. Okay, and so he's right there. Okay, so I have going from positive to the switch a 10,000 ohm resistor, and also on the same line I have a 1,000 ohm resistor. Okay, so now I just need to go in and hook everything up. So here is from the Pi. I plug this into my ground bus. Like that. I take this, the 3.3 volts, and I plug that into my positive bus. And then this is the jumper for gpio 17. So on the same line where I have the 10,000 ohm resistor, 1,000 ohm resistor, and the switch, I'm going to put in the jumper that goes to gpio 17. Okay, And that's it. Give a look at it all hooked up. So here's the red jumper, right? Going from 3.3 volts on GPIO pin 1 over to my positive power rail. And then I have ground coming off of pin 39 on the GPIO over to the negative power rail. And then I have the brown jumper coming off of pin 11 for GPIO 17. And I have it coming over to the switch. And then the switch is set up per the schematic that David Pitts has in the FPP help.
Okay, now we're going to configure the FPP to trigger a sequence. So there's kind of a bunch of steps here, so I just wanted to outline it before we jumped into it so that you understand the big picture of what's going on. What we want to do is we want the lights to play when we push a button, right? That's what we mean by a trigger. So first thing we need is a sequence. The sequence needs to be in a .FSEQ format, which is a binary format that X-Lights will generate. You can do it in Lightorama, which is what I've done. I created an animation sequence and then opened it up in X-Lights or converted it in X-Lights. Then you take that sequence and you put it in a playlist. Okay, so when you play the playlist, it plays that sequence and maybe other sequences too. Then you create a little script. This is just a simple shell script, and this is trivially easy, so nothing to be scared of. There isn't really any programming, but this script runs the playlist, and then you have an event that runs the script, and then you associate the event with the GPIO pin. So when the FPP or the Raspberry Pi detects a voltage drop on that GPIO pin, it triggers this event. That event is hooked up with the script runs, it plays this playlist has the sequence in it, and the sequence goes and it controls your lights. Okay, so let's set it up. Here is my Falcon player. So first thing I want to do, that first step was sequence. So I already have one ready to go. So I'm going to go to Content Setup, File Manager, and select files. So let me go to my C drive. That's where I keep my sequences. And whoop, that is the Lightorama version. That won't run. I stuck it someplace else. Right here it is. See, simple 16 channel.fseq. So I say open, and you see that it uploaded that fast. And if I look over here under the sequences tab, it's right there. Okay. So the next thing I need is a playlist. So I go to Content, Setup, and I select Playlists, and enter in a new playlist name. I'm going to call it Play Me. Click Add, and then here you have some choices. Play first entry only once, play last entry only once, sequence type. This is sequence only. Okay, and then right here's my sequence. I click Add, and it pops up on the sequence list. Okay, I hit Save, and boom, I'm done with my sequence. Or done with my playlist. So I have my sequence, I have my playlist. Now I need a script. Alright, this is the part that for some reason people think is scary, but it is not scary. So I'm going to open up Notepad. Okay, the first line of every, or the first character of every script is a pound symbol, a hashtag. Okay, actually, and the second symbol is a hashtag followed by a bang. This basically tells Linux you're going to run a script. Okay, and to run a script, it's not really a compiled program, it's an interpreted program. So we need to specify what interpreter we're going to use. You can use Perl, you could use Python, you could use all these things, but on the FPP it seems commonly we're using just a regular old shell script. So if you actually went into the file system and you went to the bin directory, you would see a program there called sh. Okay, so it's gonna, whatever commands we give it, it's gonna run. And this is just a shell command. So it's like you're typing this on the command line. So now what we want this script to do is we want this script to run our Play Me playlist. So we say FPP, which is the name of a program that is loaded up. It is our FPP player or our Falcon player. We do minus capital P for playlist. So we're saying FPP, I want you to play a playlist. Which one? The one I just created, Play Me. Okay. Now, when I go to save this, okay, I am going to, first of all, make sure you save it in a place you can find it again. I'm just going to put it at the root of D. Do not save it as a text document. Save it as all files. That'll let you name it whatever you want. And we are going to name it play me .sh. Okay, that .sh is important. It has to have that extension. And I save that, so that's saved as a text file. So now I come over to Content and Setup. I go to File Manager, Upload, and now I go to the place where I saved that file, and here it is, Play Me. I say Open. It's there. If I go to the Scripts tab, I can click on it. I can edit it. You see, that's what I stuck in there. Okay, so I come back here, I have my sequence, I have my playlist, I have my script. Now I need an event. So I go to Status and Control, I go to Events, okay, and I go down here and I click Add Event, event name, Play Me Play, okay. Just something you can remember it by. This event ID, major and minor, is used to associate it with sequencing channels. You can actually kick off a trigger via your sequence. So you could actually say, if this happens in my sequencing, do this. And usually people will reserve channels to do that. But for a hardware input trigger, you just leave that at 1, 1. It essentially ignores it. The effect sequence, none. Event script is my Play Me script. Save event. See, now it's an event. Okay, let's see. So I've created my sequence, I have my playlist, I have my script, I have my event. Now I need to associate it to a GPIO input. So I go to Input Output Setup. I go to GPIO Inputs. I select the GPIO that I want to play with. In this case, I have set up a switch on GPIO 17. Now, rising and falling, I want it to do something. I have it set up so that when I drop voltage on GPIO 17, I want it to kick off my script. So I clicked falling, and you see right here is the event I set up. Okay, it says it saved it. Now I say I want to enable it. Restart FPPD, and that's it. It should work. So I've just associated the GPI input falling to my event. My event is connected to my script is connected to my playlist is connected to my .fsaq file. So if I push the button, the sequence runs, or it should, and it does. Ta-da! Magic.
See, and as promised, it's running the sequence. See, so there's my little Raspberry Pi running FPP. The little breadboard has the input trigger on it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to use a breadboard when I go to set this up with the lights. What I'll probably do is I'll take this nice little I forget what they call this thing. Pi Easy Connect. And what it does is it sits on top of the GPIO pins, and it has little screw down leads for 5 volt, ground, every pin, and in the middle, everything you need to solder in your own little breadboard stuff. So I can put in all my little resistors and then wire up the switches to that. Anyway, it works. You can do triggers off of FPP, not like anyone thought you couldn't.